A new research has found the vast majority of sexual assaults at some of the nation's largest universities take place off campus. Information obtained by the Associated Press concludes that these crimes often do not take place in dorm rooms or elsewhere on university property. And this study is prompting calls for universities to overhaul their current rules involving sexual assaults. For more, I'm joined by Dr. Sarai Crane, Executive Director of Bay Area Women Against Rape, the nation's first rape crisis center here in Oakland. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being here. This data, is it surprising at all to you?
It's not surprising, and we also, at an agency like ours, would be looking at how off-campus is objectively defined. Oftentimes, if it's outside of the premises of the actual campus, it's considered off-campus, and oftentimes there are spaces, buildings, houses, clubs that own houses and property that would be technically off-campus, and they're hosting campus-wide events in these off-campus places.
It seems like we're you know, semantics here, right?
It is.
Off-campus, on-campus. The rules right now, the guidelines for universities say if it is something that disrupts a student's education, we as a university need to look into it. And you say that's important.
It is important because you are interfacing oftentimes with individuals that are in classes that you are in student activities, in student government, interfacing with your, respective disciplines. And so oftentimes, even though an event may have happened off campus, it's with individuals that you share community with and that you're sharing close quarters with. So it does propose a huge threat and extraordinary opportunities for trigger and trauma for the victim that's involved.
And I know I mentioned that it's semantics, but it really is important because the rules right now say that if it does happen within the boundaries of a school, the universities are bound to look into it.
Yes.
There is a change, though, that's being proposed that would say universities, colleges, you are only limited, or you will be limited into investigating claims that happen on property. You see that as being really problematic.
Well, I think it's extraordinarily problematic, and it sends a message that the university system does not hold it important that these experiences are happening with students that are perpetrating the crimes and that are experiencing and being victimized by the crimes. And so it makes the universities look poorly. And oftentimes what I've seen in terms of the reactions from folks from like Cal State East Bay and or our partners at the University of California, Berkeley, they don't agree with this kind of, proposition that's on the table.
Yeah, and let's be clear, though, this does not mean that these assaults would not be investigated by a police department or some other entity, but just not looked at by the university. Some of the universities and colleges said the current regulations are just too burdensome and that we need to kind of limit the scope. But again, do you think that that will benefit potential victims?
I don't think it will benefit victims at all. I think it will benefit perpetrators of sexually violent crimes.
And tell me what your biggest fear is if this change does in fact happen.
Ultimately, from my vantage point, the bigger concern would be issues around accountability, around individuals feeling like they can move forward. Some folks that have been victimized by sexual crimes will feel more likely or feel more comfortable reporting and or having their university staff or faculty support them through the process versus a district attorney or local law enforcement or sheriff's department. And
that's what I've heard from some people, is that they are afraid, in fact, that this will keep victims from coming forward. Doctor, obviously we're going to follow these changes as they work through the Department of Education. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.